Now, just about the time that I'll be sitting down, Barack Obama will be standing up to address the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee. At least I think he'll do it standing up. He may do it on his knees. In any case, standing up or on his knees, we know that he will be in the annual ritual humiliation of American presidents of bowing the knee to the representative Netanyahu of a state which has become a strategic liability for the United States itself, at least according to its top soldier, General Petraeus, and whose leader, Netanyahu, is in the country to try and help bring about the defeat of the elected President of the United States. Short of appearing on one of these interminable televised debates in the Republican primary election campaign, although that might be an idea, he'd probably win it, so bad are the rest. Short of actually entering the presidential race, the leader of Israel, Netanyahu, could not be more overtly engaged in trying to bring about the hijacking of the most powerful country in the world to be a part of a murderous and criminal enterprise which the Israeli leadership is openly, publicly threatening in a way which would have them hauled before the United Nations Security Council if it was any other country in the world. If any other country in the world was openly stating that it may, on this date or that date, attack another member state of the United Nations, there would be, no doubt, sanctions to follow. But of course, nobody ever sanctions Israel. Israel is endlessly rewarded for its crimes and the crimes that it is currently threatening to carry out. This is a window or a period of time in which there is a grave danger of Israel attacking Iran. Because one must assume, especially if he's up against the parade of the seven dwarfs of the Republican Party, that Barack Obama in November will be re-elected for a second term. No third term being possible, there is neither the incentive nor any need at all for Obama to be as slavish to the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee in his second term as he has proved to be in his first. Therefore, Israel badly needs a new president in a first term, and the incumbent facing an election in November is in his last vulnerable months. Therefore, between now and November is the period of maximum danger. The thinking goes like this: if Israel attacks Iran, the United States president will have to support them, or electorally it will be damaging, perhaps ruinous to him come November in the presidential election. And if Iran retaliates against an Israeli attack, a point to which I shall turn in a moment, then America will be bound to enter the hostilities in order to defend Israel. So this is deadly serious. We have between now, March and November, a period of just 8 months, less than 8 months, in which the world may be plunged into yet another war. And it's important to spell out and understand and spell out to the members of the public amongst whom we move that this will be no Iraq. This will be no repeat of the unpunished, unretaliated for attack by Israel on the Iraqi nuclear reactor many decades ago. Iran has the means of responding to any attack upon it, and moreover has the determination and the will to do so. So be clear about this and make others clear that this will not be an attack without consequence. Iran is not a punch bag that will merely absorb the blows. Iran will respond with all of its might, some of which we may not even yet be in possession of the knowledge of that might. Iran will respond within an hour to any attack by Israel. Moreover, any attack by Israel on Iran will be treated by Iran as an attack by the United States against Iran. Moreover, any attack on Iran by Israel will be treated by Iran as involving the puppet regimes of the Persian Gulf, the corrupt kings and emirs on the Arabian side of the Persian Gulf, and within 1 hour of an attack on Iran, the oil fields throughout the Persian Gulf will be on fire. The Straits of Hormuz will be blocked. There will be no oil flowing, not at $120 a barrel, not at $520 a barrel. And if we think we've got a recession, now we'll have an economic collapse in developed Western economies if this attack goes ahead. We have to keep this right and clear. Iran will respond with all of its might, not just in the region of the potentates of the Persian Gulf countries, but in Iraq, where, thanks to the policy of Bush and Blair, Iran has become fantastically more powerful and able to punish any aggression. I tell you this to the 15,000 Americans inside the biggest American base in the world, in Baghdad. If Israel attacks Iran, you better get out of Iraq very quickly indeed while you still can, because this response will spread throughout the world. Iran will not allow itself to be attacked by anyone. And so if we want to avoid this series of disastrous consequences, then we don't have long to persuade our parliamentarians, who seem remarkably quietly sleepwalking into this potential disaster. The Guardian weeks ago revealed that the Ministry of Defence had told them that if there was an attack on Iran, the British Armed Forces would join it. If the Straits of Hormuz was closed, the British Royal Navy will reopen, will fight Iran, a nation of 75 million people who will be overwhelmingly united, green or government, communist or liberal, Islamist, will be overwhelmingly united against a foreign aggression, especially one from Israel, a foreign aggression upon their country. William Hague has already volunteered us for the fight. I don't know if you knew that. I know that most British people do not yet know that, but that they must. I will take there, and you must take everywhere, the case that Lindsay made earlier today, and which I caught, and which others have made in the short time that I've been here. All of these wars have turned into a disaster. In Afghanistan, they cannot get out quick enough. They've asked the Taliban to open a political office in Doha. Where else? Everything's in Doha. Nowadays, it's probably a large brown envelope waiting for the Taliban when they got there, just like the leaders of the Football Association when they turned up to vote for the World Cup allocation a year or so ago. But the Taliban were asked to open a political office in Doha, which strangely sits between the offices of Al Jazeera and the biggest US military base in the world in Qatar. And that political office is there for one purpose only: to give the Western countries somebody to surrender to, because they cannot get out of Afghanistan quick enough, and when they do, everyone in the world will be able to see that they're leaving Afghanistan in defeat, another disastrous imperialist defeat. In Iraq, they had to leave, the vast majority of them, never having successfully occupied a single street in a single town or village anywhere in Iraq. In one street, Haifa Street, God bless it always, 440 American occupation soldiers lost their life's blood in one street, Haifa Street, in Baghdad. This occupation, with all its terrifying might in the sky, could not control the Iraqis, had to leave under the fire of the Iraqi resistance. The same in Afghanistan. If they're crazy enough to enter Syria, the same thing will happen there. But the biggest mistake in history will be to launch an attack on the Islamic Republic of Iran. All of us will pay for that for the rest of our lives. Wassalamu alaikum.